A prophet is simply someone who knocks on doors. They knock on the doors of our hearts and our souls, and they pose a challenge and ask a question. Would you or did you know? These questions and challenges usually already exist in the deeper recesses of our subconscious, but we tend to hold them down lest they disturb us or call us to actions we are not ready to totally commit ourselves to. Some of the would yous or did you knows in life are, for a student, would you study a little harder and help out more at home, possibly even clean your room from time to time? And the did you know corollary is life would be much nicer. For adults, which all students somehow eventually become, the would yous become a little bit more demanding and intense. Would you truly give of yourself, your time, your talent, and your financial resources to freely help your community? And just as important and even more difficult, to help those who you are not associated with in any way. And the did you know corollary that flows out, well, it's the same one. Life would be much nicer. And I want all of you to know that I am extremely proud to be part of this dynamic and loving community, because I have witnessed so many of you say, yes, I will. And God knows that I have knocked on many of your doors for many reasons, over and over and over again, and it ain't over yet. And although the doormat is frayed and aged, it still says, welcome. Like today's reading from Corinthians, you have shown that love is patient and kind. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. You know, this is a very favorite passage for weddings, and it's both wonderful and beautiful, but it has much more meaning 10 years after the wedding ceremony, or 20, or 30. After a couple has lived through the storms of life and age has taken its physical toll. It has deepening meaning for a community as it grows and matures over time, or when that community reaches its 100th anniversary. For it is then that the passage is really understood and has truly been subjected to the trials and tribulations of time. I thank God that I was called to this wonderful community over 3 decades ago by the then pastor, Father Pat Hurley. I am blessed for having served and worked with so many wonderful Jesuits, each bringing a unique, special, and very different set of gifts and talents to this wonderful community. I am overwhelmed at times as I reflect upon the joy and energy I have experienced in dealing with you, the parishioners, with the staffs of the school and the parish, with parents who have their children in the school, but most of all, in truth, with the students and the alumni. You know, studies say that one takes upon the personality and psychology of those they spend the most time with. Well, most of my life has been spent with junior high, high school, and college students. So I may be a bit warped. My humor may be a bit inappropriate at times, and I truthfully may no longer be suited to do anything else. I am a bit of a perpetual teenager who is a little overweight, little overweight, balding, and suffering from loss of hearing. Sometimes that comes in handy, and declining eyesight, but I would not change anything. You all have lived the love that St. Paul writes about in today's reading, and it all springs out of this sacred room, this holy place. The school itself would not exist were it not for this sacred room, this holy place. For me, this is the room through which my children entered into the church in baptism and more fully committed themselves through Eucharist. This is the room in which my wife and I committed to ourselves to one another in marriage. This is where I have confessed my sins, my many, many, many sins. This is where I have come to bid a final farewell to children and elders, and many in the prime of their lives, as they have begun their final voyage, walking through that last door. And this is the aisle I also will travel down one last time in a casket, with the hopes of meeting my Maker. I believe this is a sacred room in which we meet to pray and acknowledge the presence of the Almighty. It is a special touchstone. It is a spiritual portal. It allows and encourages each of us to be both prophetic and live lives of love, lives oriented towards the needs of others, lives that care for the wounds of a world that shouts out with pain. Today's readings speak of being prophetic, so indulge me for a moment as I try to do so, realizing that often a prophet is not heard in their own land. In order to do what we have been called upon to do as individuals within this community, we must be owners rather than renters. When I say that, I'm talking about our relationship with our faith community. An owner is fully invested, fully present, in good times and bad. They make a major commitment of heart and soul, of all they have and all they are. Renters pass through. They come and go without really becoming a part of the whole. They shop, and when they see a better deal, they're gone. They are cheating themselves out of something very important. There is no better deal. This is the real deal. This is a steal of a deal. I believe that life is much more fulfilling to the owner who grows with a faith-centered community. The struggles with the imperfections of our community and church bring wrinkles of wisdom. The immersion into something bigger and greater and more powerful than any of